Okay, hi guys. I thought I might do a couple of videos on what you shouldn't do in living in a rural area. So, for those who don't know, it's true of all of Japan, but it's more sensitive in rural areas, and that's talking about negative stuff. So, for example, you're socializing or whatever. It's quite normal in our culture to have a bit of a whinge about whatever. That is one of the worst things you can do out in rural areas. People like to talk about positive things, and talking about negative things. People just won't want to be around you. So, for example, reminding people about something that's sad or whatever. Let's say your neighbour's sister passed away, and she comes and visits you, and you say, "Oh, I'm really, really sorry about your sister." Perfectly normal in Australia, or probably most countries. Don't do that here. Because you're reminding people of something that's negative and not very nice and happy. So anything that will remind somebody of something that's not too pleasant, totally avoid. People will hate you for it, or not hate you for it, but people will avoid you. And this is true of all of Japan, but it's particularly more sensitive in rural areas because the people out here, they like a nice sort of pleasant, drama-free life. So people like to talk about very, basic things, the weather, gardening, things like this. Pleasant, sort of non-confrontational sort of stuff. And they don't want to dwell on anything negative. And they don't want to be reminded of any bad things. So if you look at it from a Japanese perspective, they know that you know that their sister died, and they know that you're a compassionate person, so why would you need to say that? Of course they know that you're sorry that their sister passed away, so what's the point of reminding them? That's the way they look at it. So if I've got a friend I see all the time, and a family member of mine died, and I know that she knows that a family member of mine died, she's my friend, so I already know that she's compassionate about my situation. So I don't need to have her tell me that, if you understand what I'm saying. So this is totally the opposite of what would happen in my culture back home. But that's the way the Japanese look at it. So it's sort of embarrassing yourself a little bit too, because if you're a non-compassionate person, they probably wouldn't be your friend, if you know what I mean. So totally avoid gossiping, things like that. There are a lot of villages, I suppose, in Japan that are more gossipy than others. But from what I found, it's not really a big thing. I think it's actually more common where I'm from, gossiping in small towns. There's less of it here, but I only know like half a dozen or so. I've never heard of like a super gossipy town, but I know they're out there. So you shouldn't be living in one if you've done your homework anyway. That's the way I look at it. So people like to talk about happy things, and also one thing that really stands out as a foreigner here is that people don't talk about their children. So for example, people will say, "Oh, well, my son, he's in university and he's doing well and he passed all his exams and he got a new girlfriend and she's really nice and whatever, the usual stuff about people talking to their kids about their kids. This doesn't happen here at all. Most people wouldn't know what other people's kids do for a living. They don't talk about their kids at all. It's all sort of their business. So talking about your kids is not a thing here at all. And I would assume talking up your kids would be even worse. Sort of bragging about the achievements of your kids or something like that. That wouldn't go down too well. I'm just assuming this, but this is not a topic that gets brought up, you know, around the tea table when everyone's having tea and stuff. I've never heard anyone talking about their kids ever, and I've had a lot of ladies in my cafe, as you know, and locals and everything like that. I wouldn't know what the children of all the people around my neighbourhood do for a living. All I know is that they don't live in the village, they live in Tokyo or wherever, but they don't talk about what their kids do. So that's a big cultural thing. So that's a privacy thing, I think. That sort of family business is family business, and everything else is everything else. So it's also quite common to know someone for a long time. There's people here in the village that have known each other for 30 years and they don't know their first name because everyone calls them by their last name. So Suzuki-san or whatever san. But sometimes they don't even know their first name because it's a personal thing. So right through Japanese history, there's actually a lot of things written, especially women, and even scholars going back don't know what their first name was because it will just be known to her direct family and her husband and her children only. So that's a peculiarity, and it's more pronounced in rural areas because they're a little bit more traditional. So I know at least maybe 40% of the people here where I live, I don't know their first name. I know their last name and we get along well. It's just not a thing to ask their first name. So it'd be a little bit of a rude question to ask someone their first name unless you were super close or that you needed to know it for some reason. It's sort of a thing you don't need to know, isn't it? So anyway, I'm going inside, gonna have a nice hot cup of tea, and as always, hope you like the video.
Let's go walk home.